Hi folks, and welcome to your latest planning outlook. This updated on Tuesday the 6th of October. It's a chilly pattern as we head towards the weekend as northwest or northerly winds prevail, staying rather changeable too, with showers often in the forecast, some hail and some snow on the higher mountains in Scotland at times. Some suggestions of higher pressure beginning to build, although it could be a little bit further onwards into next week before that builds more extensively across the country. I'll start off with a look at temperatures, and this is our familiar 850 millibar chart. It represents a level in the atmosphere that's around 1300, 1400 metres or so at the current time above the sea level, so giving us that steer for temperatures on the higher summits. I'll run you through the week ahead. This starting off with Wednesday, the date in the top right corner, and we've got values already dropping close to freezing point on those highest Scottish tops by at least the later part of Wednesday. We see a warm sector that moves across the south of Britain overnight into Thursday, associated with some rain, but the chillier air is still in place further north, and that chilly air is what's here to stay for a few days at least through the weekend and even the start of next week. Temperatures then on those highest Scottish tops could be dipping just below freezing point for a few days in succession. Freezing levels typically not much lower than around 1,000, 1,100 metres, maybe temporarily lower in showers. Likely though to see a touch of frost overnight in some of the glens and the corries. This is taking you through the weekend. You can see how that chilly air does very much stay in place as the airflow is predominantly from the northwest, so chilly feeling temperatures for all, especially we're exposed to a brisk wind, which may be up to gale force at times, so bear in mind significant wind chill factor in exposure. Bit of a lift of temperature as we go through Sunday and maybe just at first next week, but it's likely that north or northwesterly is what's around in the early days of next week, so temperatures still for a day or so longer still on the chilly side. The synoptic chart's looking like this. Starting off with Wednesday, we have a brisk westerly wind across the northern half of Britain up to gale force for a time on the higher mountains early in the day. Will tend to ease down as time goes on. We've got the next developing low coming in from the Atlantic. Now, we've been watching that closely in recent days. It's not quite as extensive and as potent as it once looked, but nevertheless will still bring some heavy rain and gales for a time, more so overnight to England and Wales. Wednesday's rainfall story is mostly just a scattering of showers, but across northwest Scotland those will be somewhat more frequent. A tangle of fronts then towards the south on Thursday. Most of the rain across the Pennines and across Wales will have gone, but a few showers still following behind in a trough that just follows. Those breaking up, and it may well come through as a largely dry day for much of England and Wales. Further north across the Highlands, we're again seeing a chilly westerly breeze, bringing showers in frequently off the Atlantic, those with some hail and some snow on the Munros. Fewer of them getting toward the eastern side of the Highlands. The odd heavier one, though, could have a rumble of thunder in it. Low pressure towards the north on Friday and a chilly air mass in charge. A tangle of fronts wrapped around the low. Some uncertainty exactly which front does what in terms of the more extensive rain. It's likely, though, to be some organised zones of rain and some showers maybe mixed in between with some hail and again some snow on the Scottish mountains, which might even fall down to say 700 or 800 metres at times across the Highlands. Mostly just rain or some hail occasionally across England and Wales. The risk of that setting in for a few hours, but also a few hours likely to get away dry. In terms of wind speeds, they're likely to vary through the day, sometimes a lull, but the risk of strengthening at least periodically up towards gale force on the higher tops. Looks a blustery day into Saturday. Low pressure moving off into the North Sea. That northwesterly flow is in charge. That wind chill factor then certainly worth considering. Air temperatures will be distinctly on the chilly side. A scattering of showers pretty widely. Some sunny spells away from those showers, which will have some hail in once again, and across the higher mountains in Scotland at least, sometimes some snow, which may just give a dusting on those higher tops. Some places getting away more often dry, perhaps central Scotland, maybe down the spine of the Pennines, the shower bands tending to run in more off the Irish Sea into Wales, where they just could be frequent over a good number of hours. Pressure tending to build by the time we go into Sunday as one low pressure system moves away toward the east, the next one waiting out toward the west, which gives some question marks into early next week just in terms of what that feature will do. But in between, Sunday may well come out with a good day, a chilly day, a cold start with a frost in many of the valleys and the glens, most extensive across the Scottish Highlands. A few showers could still come down from the north on that northerly wind, but that will most likely ease down just as that ridge of higher pressure does build in. Very clear air then, away from any of those showers. Visibility will be superb and some sunshine pretty widely with cloud breaking to higher tops. Just watch though if things might deteriorate later on from the west as those fronts begin to move in. And it's that which leaves us with uncertainties into the early part of next week, just in terms of what that frontal system and the little area of low pressure associated with it does. We've got high pressure nearby to us out toward the Atlantic, which may build in more extensively as time goes on. I suspect we've got to get through another day or so of showers and generally unsettled conditions and a chilly feel still with the airflow coming down from the north. You trace the isobars back right toward the Arctic then on this chart. So freezing levels may even drop somewhat further more widely, just at least for a day or so, with some snow maybe even turning up on the higher tops in England and Wales. Not lasting particularly long, but that risk is there, and coming down to some lower levels just briefly at least in Scotland. Higher pressure out toward the west does look likely to build in. Question marks on how soon and how extensive and how long lasting that high will be, but some drier, more settled weather is at least likely for a few days into next week. Treated very carefully, but that's one of the longer range projections for the 7-day period as a whole through until the 19th of October, and shows higher than average pressures around and just to the west of the British Isles, low pressure being squeezed away more towards the south of Europe, and many indications actually further on into October do look quite optimistic for higher pressure being more likely to be on the scene, so a chance of a more sustained settled spell getting going after what will have been a rather unsettled start to this month. We shall see how that develops, of course, and keep you right up to date here at MWIS. Thanks for watching today. Bye for now.